guess this thing could do 100. Yeah.
Wow.
I liked it, the shag carpeting. It's like a psychiatric van. It's like it's padded on the inside, you know? If you believe horsepower cures a lot of problems, it does with this, because you've got that big V8. You think this thing's kind of clicking. Oh, it moves along pretty good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't handle bad for what it is.
You put somebody who's in their even 40s, and they get in a car like this, and it's almost horrifying the way it drives.
Yeah. Welcome to an episode of Jay Leno's Garage. Something kind of fun today. A 1976 Ford Econoline cruising van with the Chateau package. You know, they always say car collectors want the cars they had when they were kids, you know, cars that meant something to them. And a good friend of mine is Jeff Dunham. You all know him, very funny comedian, specials on Netflix and all over the place. Well, nobody enjoys his cars as much as he does. And he really does have all the cars from his childhood. And this is one of them. Let's bring Jeff in. Jeff, come on in, my friend. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Jay.
Yeah, you have more fun with your stuff than anybody because besides having some serious performance cars, you just have a lot of fun stuff. You got cars from, was it Lost in Space?
Lost in Space with the Chariots.
Yeah. The Chariot, Lost in Space, and what else? What else is there?
A couple of Batmobiles.
Oh, yeah, the Batmobile. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I mean, cars have always been a huge part of your life, and
sure.
It's cool you've been able to go back and collect them and just have fun with them. Do your kids, do they get it?
My three older daughters, they never understood it.
Right.
But now my sons, they're 6 years old, and one of them completely gets it. We have one that doesn't care, and the other one's just nuts about it. The red-headed, Irish, white-skinned, crazy little boy. He's all about this stuff.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. In fact, we'll be driving down the road, and he'll just point out something that said, "That's new. Nobody has any of those." And I'll say, "Yeah, that's a new model." Blah 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 blah.
So there you go.
Yeah, I'm smart.
So it took a while, but you got the gene in there.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Exactly.
Now this thing is kind of cool because, God, when I was in my 20s in the 70s, taking a van and turning it into a surf wagon or whatever you want to call it was huge.
Or a shag wagon.
Or a shag wagon, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But this was done at the factory. This is a classic case of a Ford Motor Company seeing what was happening on the West Coast.
Well, on the West Coast, but the van craze really started in the, late 60s, early 70s.
Right.
And it started really catching on. And so by the time they got to this, which was 76, the very first year of it, I equate it to when Mickey Mouse came out with a disco album. It was about done.
Right. Yeah, they're always just a little bit too late. You know?
And so the van craze kept on through probably the early 80s, and then it turned into the minivans because the families had gotten older, and now the van had a purpose rather than just being for the younger, hip folks.
Right.
But, man, when it was happening, it was great. You were in your 20s. I was like 12.
Right.
When all this started happening. And so I was an only child, very religious family, and I thought the vans were the greatest thing ever. And I told my mom, my first car, I was 12, 13, 14 years old, my first car, I want to get a van. And I might as well have said, I was Satan. Because that's just, the vans were evil.
Oh, yeah.
All because, people were having sex in them.
That's right. Well, they used to have those signs, if this van's a rockin', don't come knocking.
Exactly.
Or don't laugh, your daughter's in the back. Yeah, these have all those stupid signs.
Yeah, and all my guys dared me to put those stickers on the back of this thing.
Yeah, so
sure. That'd work great.
But this, like you say, it is a classic case of, it's like when Laugh-In went off the air, suddenly politicians are going, let's sock it to them.
Yeah.
It's
a little too late to the party.
Too late to,
right.
Okay.
But you're right, it was the first factory version because Dodge approached it completely differently. What you got with Dodge was the van, but it came with a box, and in the box were the templates for where to put the portholes and the graphics. You had to do everything yourself.
Right.
Whereas this, as you see it right now, is how you got it from the factory with the opera windows. They had another name for them. I can't remember what they're called.
Right.
And by the way, we did take a little bit of liberty with the graphics here because the graphics package that we show here is what was in the ads.
Right.
But then, as it happens when you get a pilot car or whatever, they took all the photos for the photo shoots, and then what ends up coming out is not what.
Right, but close.
It's close. Yeah, I guess these graphics were a little too complicated. And can I show you the toy inside here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll show the inside in a second. But this toy, this is how popular this was. This is a Tonka truck, and so these were the actual graphics.
Oh, Oh, okay.
that went with it. So it's a little simpler.
Yeah, yeah, close. Yeah, it's higher up, and
Yeah.
and that's a little looks more like the Brubaker van there. That thing there a little bit.
Yeah, well, they had a mold.
Almost squared off.
They had a
yeah.
mold for it, and also we took liberty with the color. The factory colors were yellow, orange, and red,
Right.
whereas the ads were yellow, orange, and purple. So
Okay.
who cares? But
And it's sort of a performance vehicle too, because this has a 351 Cleveland, which is the same engine that was in the most powerful Mustang at the time,
Oh.
and as well as the Pantera.
Oh.
So you had some real power here.
I don't think Pantera when I'm driving this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. yeah.
What's her name's not going to be on the hood of this.
And I just like chateau package, meaning home on wheels. Is that what it like a chateau?
I think it means wood stickers on the dashboard.
Oh, yeah, okay. But
But yeah, it means a house.
it's like a house on wheels, I guess.
Do you think the Ford executives actually knew French? don't
No,
think they spoke
I
French.
just like when they always just, like when you remember they had the Bill Blass edition, and then they had
Right.
Pierre Cardin Lincolns, and you know, all that kind of stuff. Just very funny.
Right.
Well, let's take a let's. Oh, look, you've opened the door here. Let's show us the inside.
All right. So again, everything here was pretty much the way it came from the factory. You got the shag carpet, and you commented earlier on the shag carpet. This stuff is just great.
I mean, I just like the way it just sort of, it's just cut out and stuck in the this. There's supposed to be a window here.
Which
They
is
just-
exactly what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was all this way when I got it. It
Right.
was. Oh, and by the way, we had the what report is it? The
Marty.
the Marty report
Right.
to make sure this wasn't just a van that somebody else converted to look like this. This was all legit. But by the way, the guys that did the restorations, Dave Shetton over at Galpin Auto Sports, he did all this, and they did a fine job. It was great because it was a piece of work when we got it.
Yeah.
It looked like this, but like garbage. But yeah, this is great. All the original carpet was still in it.
Yeah.
So it was you don't want to touch it.
Yeah, just yeah, yeah.
You know,
I
especially
just
in there.
vacuuming all the yeah. okay.
Vacuuming.
Well, and inside it's really just a big empty, but it's got some storage compartments and stuff. And I like the beanbag chair. Did that come with that, or you added that?
I kind of threw that in.
Oh, you kind of threw the beanbag in.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
And just to bug my mother.
Okay. Yeah. And those
Those wooden benches covered in the shag carpet. Yeah,
I
those
liked
were
their
there.
benches. There's not enough room to sit on them, really.
Well, they called them benches out of their storage boxes. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, yeah.
But see, this was interesting. They still left enough. It was not an empty shell,
Right.
but at least you could then customize it yourself. Because,
Right.
you know, I got a couple other vans from the 70s that were like the Dodge version that were completely customized. They did whatever they want. And you remember van conversions? Well, it was a huge business back then.
Oh, there were magazines. There was Van Life magazine, and it was a huge lifestyle thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it drives great. It's, you know.
And it must be one of the fastest vans of the period. I don't know what Dodge had for motors in theirs, but the 351 Cleveland, that's a big motor, because most of these were inline sixes or
Yeah.
maybe a 260 or 289 V8. So, and it's obviously an automatic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Chateau upgrades are very nice.
The Chateau. Well, you
Got the
could
captain's
say to the
chairs.
girl, "Would you like to see my Chateau?" Oh, yes. I'd love to see your Chateau. Yes.
And I think that meant the very nice captain's chairs and also the wood applique, as they say.
Now, was there a window here in this?
Nope.
Oh, it's just a piece. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Because again, the Econoline van, this is the third version. 75 was the third version of the Econoline van.
Right.
And it was so successful, but then again, they jumped onto the van craze and then came out with this
Yeah.
version of that.
I assume it's probably discs in the front, drums in the back. which was-
You know what? There's something I don't know.
yeah. Don't know.
But the wheels, these are upgraded wheels.
Right.
But these are the nicer ones, and
Right.
you checked the box and got those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these opera windows, Dave Shetton actually blew these himself.
Yeah.
He made a mold, and because you obviously can't find those anywhere.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder what was the point of having round. I don't know.
And you know, they put it in. This was also went along with the Pinto cruising wagon.
Well, you have the Pinto wagon that goes with this.
Absolutely, it's a matching pair.
Right,
Because
right.
I got one, I got to get the other.
Right. You have to have that.
Absolutely. And the Pinto is often. What were they thinking when they took a Pinto? They did the exact same thing. They put these windows in the back of a Pinto station wagon.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Do we have? Okay, we got drums in back. very nice. Well, let's take a look at this motor. It's a 351.
Yeah, this is the part we didn't restore.
Okay.
We got it running. My guys got it running, but we didn't take any, no time.
How many miles were on it?
Oh, I can't remember. I have no idea.
Okay, boy, that's tricky to work on. Well, I guess you get to it from the front, yeah.
Yeah, when somebody's working on the motor, it's a little frightening because you got to pull that whole giant cover off inside
Yeah,
there.
and you've got to do it from the inside, yeah. So that's a 351 Cleveland, all right. It's way in there. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to see. Master cylinder easily accessible. Carburetor is a little tricky to get to. Batteries easy to get to. Okay.
And these are not easy to find. Again, they're not expensive, so like you say, this isn't one of the more exotic pieces in the collection, but it's just fun. It's just stupid fun.
Yeah, these were driven hard and put away wet. People, they went camping, and then they gave it to the kid, and then the kid filled it with lumber, and they got delivered newspaper, whatever it might be. Any ideas how many miles is on this thing when you got it? Yeah.
No, but we really searched to find them, and my buddy Matt McNeil found it, and it was in a guy's warehouse, all dusty and crappy.
In California, back east?
No, I think it was back east somewhere in the Midwest.
Yeah.
It might have been Ohio. And we shipped it out here, and it was, exactly what the guy said it was, but...
Is this the color it was?
Yeah, no, silver? This is exactly, we didn't do anything. This is it from the factory, yeah.
All right, very cool.
Yeah.
Just makes me laugh. And it didn't come with like an optional bench seat in the back, it just came that way, right?
Yep, just that way. But again, comparing it to the Dodge you got an empty shell, didn't have carpet or anything in it, so you had to customize everything yourself.
Right.
So you got to credit them for finding somebody who didn't want to go to that trouble.
Yeah.
You just go and this is what you get.
Now, did they go to anybody like Ed Roth or whoever was head of customizing, to try and do these graphics? I think Peter Max was involved with, Peter Max was a popular artist in the 60s, and I think he did Chrysler ads, Rapid Transit and all that kind of stuff, and Keep on Trucking kind of looking stuff, Well, let's see. Well, let's look at the driver's compartment. I imagine it's all pretty much standard that way, too.
Yep.
Let's take a look. Is that the wheel that come with that steering wheel?
No, this steering wheel, we didn't do factory. I kind of wanted to give a nod to the 70s, and this is one straight out of the J.C. Whitney catalog.
Oh, the Grant steering wheel, yeah.
You know what that is?
I think they were $14.95. Yanko Stinger used the same wheel, although I think it was just a little bit bigger. That's a smaller one. Then you used to have the chain one.
The chain was great.
Yeah, the chain collapsed, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and the other thing is, and again, I don't know if this was factory or not, but there is we put this in here, and I don't know what was factory. I can't remember what we did, but of course you got to have the CB radio.
We got a CB there, right? Okay.
But it's a CB combination AM/FM.
Yeah. Oh, I remember those.
But you know what? You know what I'm going to do? Oh, wait a minute. Even better. It's also an 8-track.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's a CB AM/FM 8-track.
You got a full entertainment center.
Exactly.
You're missing your cigarette lighter.
Oh, yeah, where's that? That's not good, but we have the ashtray. But again, this Chateau package means the lovely burl wood stickers.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So really, to work on this, you've got to pull the seats out and take that center to get to the motor. Oh,
well,
my God.
I don't think you have to pull the seats out. You just got to pull this cover off.
No, but what I mean, some greasy mechanic is going to make it.
Yeah, I was just cleaning the seats. It looked like one of my guys got grease on the seats.
Yeah.
And this is not was not part of the package, but I also had to have this in every van.
Where did you find that? Was that in the catalog as well?
I think it's eBay.
And what is this little part? Oh, for the handle?
The handle. Now, what's that?
I don't know. What do you think?
For the 8-track tapes.
Oh, the 8-track tapes, of course.
File them up there, yeah.
And you couldn't have more than 4.
That's right. Well, then, because one would play forever.
I remember those 8-tracks when you switch it. It was
in the middle of the song. In the middle of the song.
Yeah,
exactly. And this was for your weed.
Oh, for marijuana?
For your doobie.
Oh, yeah. I guess that. Well, would it be out in the open like that? Because that was a life sentence if you got caught with one.
Was it really? No, it wasn't.
Well, you got 20 years.
Is that right?
When I was in college, there were guys doing 15 to 20 years for possession of marijuana.
Wow.
Yeah, most of them got pardoned after a few years, but yeah, I think Jimmy Carter. I like the Well, speedometer goes to 100 optimistically.
You know what's funny is the DeLorean I have. What's a DeLorean? 83, 84.
Right, 80.
But the very top of the speedometer is 55, and
Right.
it's the only number that's red.
Right, right. Well, that was Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
When Jimmy Carter had instituted that 55 mile an hour.
Yeah.
Or was it Nixon? I think it started with Nixon.
All I know is that when my parents and I drove from Dallas to Los Angeles,
Right.
my dad was going to a conference, and I was 15 years old, and they were letting me drive to get some practice.
Right.
I would not go over 55 miles per hour. My dad wanted to bang his head through the windshield because it was like 55 in the middle of the desert.
Right, I know, it's just horrible. I know, it's a nightmare. Yeah.
Yep. So you never had a van?
I never had a van. No, I never had a van.
You didn't want a van?
No, I like single-purpose things. If I want a truck, I'll get a truck.
Right.
A sports car.
Right.
I want a car. It's a truck and a sports car and it's like an SUV. Doesn't interest me at all.
Oh.
I like single-purpose vehicles. This one's
Yeah.
to go fast.
Right.
This one is Cadillac is to be comfortable.
Yep.
The sports car is.
Well, for those people who can't buy 7 cars,
Well, yeah, I understand.
it's
No,
a multi-purpose vehicle here.
well, I don't know. Are we about ready? Can we drive this?
Yeah,
thing?
let's drive this thing.
Well, let's show this here now.
Oh, yeah.
That's an unusual feature.
Sure.
Because that shows the
Yeah.
utility of this vehicle, I suppose. If you're using it for transportation, I mean for business or work, you have a reserve gas tank.
Yeah, you got the selector switch there. So
Right.
it's, I don't understand off.
Oh, off means no gas goes through.
Yeah, I
You're
understand.
just sealing off the gas.
Okay.
I mean, I think that would be an anti-theft device, probably.
With the giant switch right there?
Well, you owned it and you didn't even notice it.
I forgot about it.
So I'm saying, I think most people, they bring in to steal it, it starts, it dies, let's get out of here.
Oh,
that
yeah,
kind of
right.
stuff.
And then I can't figure out the toggle switch. We think that maybe could there be 2 different fuel pumps, or does that change the fuel gauge from one tank to the other?
It says main and auxiliary, so that changes from one tank to the other.
Yeah, but
I
is
guess.
it? But that's what the selector's for. But the toggle switch is electrical. Is it the fuel pumps, or is it? I think it changes the fuel gauge. Well, let's check it out. So if we change this, didn't change a thing. Oh no, it's going down.
Yeah, it's going down.
So it's a selector for your fuel level.
Yeah, so put it on main.
This.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
it was. Okay.
Yeah. So that goes back
Well,
up.
that's cool. You learn
right.
something every day.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Well, can we take a ride? Can we go cruising, as the kids say?
Yeah, sure. We'll go cruising for chicks down at the
Yeah,
beach.
that'll go real big.
Oh wait, I got to show you one more thing.
Oh, what's that?
This is great. So, and again, I never noticed this, but there's the fuel tank, but then
Right.
there's the auxiliary fuel tank right there in front of the tire.
Right.
I don't know why I never saw that. So,
Okay.
there you go.
Well, that's a cool thing to have.
Yeah, why not?
Very good.
All right.
And you got a roof rack too. Yeah.
Well, it's multi-purpose.
Right, right.
You wouldn't care.
And when you go to the opera, you're lucky you got the windows.
I want to look in the brochure before we start driving and see what these were called, because it was a really goofy name. What they were
What
called.
did they call them?
I got
the brochure.
I got the brochure.
Look at the
We'll find it.
brochure.
All
We're
right.
going to check the brochure. Okay, we got this figured out. On the Lincoln, they were called opera windows.
Right.
But Jeff will now read from the Ford brochure and tell us what the windows are called.
Okay. And to assure your privacy, there's our optional privacy glass portholes.
Oh, privacy glass portholes.
Trademarked.
Okay, now, I don't see what... It's a window. I can see right in there. What's the privacy part?
Well, if the vans are rocking
Oh, I see.
and
yeah.
you're looking,
Okay.
well, you're the pervert.
And what else does it say about this? Some wood grain? Anything about the...
Yes, the freewheeling van. You see, full-length color-keyed carpeting,
Ooh.
complete insulation, and wood-grained vinyl paneling.
Ooh.
Wood-grained vinyl paneling.
It's vinyl with wood in it. Yeah, I get it. All right.
It's fantastic. All right.
Well, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, are we ready? to go
They
for-
call it the freewheeling van and super trick new version of the cruising van. Super trick.
Super trick. Okay. I remember they had a great ad from Mustang with the young Americans, these, bunch of white kids with crew cuts.
And what's the car where the ad that said for men only? For are you a real man or
Oh,
something?
no, that was for the Hemi. A man's machine.
A man.
And in the ad, the car is going off the road. Yeah.
That's perfect.
But are we ready to go for a ride?
I want to go for a ride.
We're going cruising in Van Nuys.
In a van. Do you have your weed?
That's a 351, son.
Yeah. It's cold-blooded, too. Good luck.
Hi, girls. Hey, it's got some power, that 351.
Yeah, my guys didn't restore the engine, but they certainly made sure it was working right.
Yeah.
So this quadraphonic deck, and by the way, I'm still proud of this for finding this thing.
Yeah.
Because it's, the 8-track tape. The 8-track, the FM, the AM, and the CB radio, all in one, right? So I have a collection, just because they're so bad, of 8-track tapes.
Yeah.
And a lot of quadraphonic stuff.
Now, they do tend to break down after.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know how to rebuild them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the foam inside that breaks down.
Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
and the tape it goes all over.
Of course, yeah. But the best is Santana.
Yeah.
Whoever was mixing their music, it's like the drums are over here.
Yeah.
The vocals are over here.
Yeah.
The guitar's back there. And so, and that's why I'm convinced when you see guys in the 60s and the 70s sitting on the floor listening to music, it's because they were listening to their quadraphonic stereo.
I think that's, yeah.
Yeah. You see John Lennon sitting in the middle of the floor?
Yeah,
listening to
I
stereo.
remember my friend bought the quadraphonic, and my dad said, "What, you got a new Victrola there? Look at that." That's like they call it a Victrola. You know, it drives pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's got some power. Let me get past it. Wow, it's got some power. It goes good.
And it sounds great.
It does sound great.
Yeah.
Well, 351.
Yeah, that's just, that's great that that's factory sound too.
Let's put these windows up so we can hear.
We didn't drill a hole in anything. That's the way it's supposed to sound. It's great.
Now this thing is pretty cool, actually.
I can imagine going across the country in this with the kids in the back and going across the country
A couple
in
of
this.
sleeping bags,
Yeah.
and you're all set.
So what car did you jump around in the back seat in when you were a kid?
Oh, my dad had a 57 Plymouth Belvedere.
How many of those do you have?
I don't have any of those.
What?
The only one I have that my dad had was the car I made him buy, the 66 Ford Galaxy, 7-liter. That's the only one. My dad, I came home from the hospital in a 49 Plymouth. Then we went to Crabtree Motors when I was 7, bought the 57 Plymouth in New Rochelle, New York. Then we went to Shawsheen Motors in Andover, Massachusetts. The salesman named was Tom Lawrence. And we bought a 64 Galaxy 500 XL.
How do you remember all that?
I just went. Then we went back to see Tom Lawrence in '66 to get the new Galaxy.
You remember the name of the dealership?
I remember the name of the dealership and the salesman. Yeah.
Okay, that's nuts. So you were paying attention to cars as a little kid then?
Oh yeah. I always liked cars. Yeah.
At age what? As long as you can remember?
I can remember being 7, sitting in my dad's lap and steering the Plymouth, you know. Because now your dad would be arrested and you'd be put in child services. But back then it was fairly common.
Yeah. Wow.
I can remember when we moved up to Andover, Massachusetts from New Rochelle, I was sleeping on the back shelf.
Sure.
And I had a pet lizard, okay, a chameleon. They think about chameleons. I had a chameleon in a box next to me, so I was playing with it while I was sleeping. So then we pull into some roadside thing, and it's summer. We park the car, and the lizard had completely cooked in the rear window. It was just broiled. It was like, oh, I felt so awful.
Yeah, I was the same way. Again, an only kid, so I had the back seat of every car to myself.
Right.
And I remember coming home from church on a rainy day in Dallas and crawling up in that back window.
Oh, yeah.
And laying out in that back window. And it was like a weird premonition. I thought, if we get hit, I would bounce down on the seat and then land on the floor.
Right.
Guess what happened 5 minutes later?
Oh, you got hit? Yeah.
Yeah, my mom was at a stoplight. She was driving, and we got hit from behind, and she slammed on the brakes after getting hit, and then I bounced down on the seat and bound on the floor. And you know what almost broke my back?
Wow, did you-
When I hit the floor?
What?
Think about it. What's in the middle
Oh,
of
the
the floor?
transmission tunnel. Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
tunnel.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, were you seriously hurt?
No, not at all. I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, how did I think of that right before it happened? So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, I can remember friends having the Country Squire wagon with the rear-facing seat,
Yeah.
and every stop, like, ah! Yeah, people would bear down on you. But it's nice to have a van with some power. You know, most of the ones I drove were, was it 221 cubic inch 6, or maybe the small Ford V8. This is pretty powerful.
Well, now you got me curious as to what's in, because I have 2 other 70s vans. One's a Dodge, and the other is a...
The Dodge is probably a 318, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
or maybe a 360, but probably more likely 318.
Well, the Dodge they called the Street Machine. Whoever had it before me customized the living heck out of it. It's got a bed in it, it's got lights, it's got black lights, neon stuff in it, a refrigerator.
Yeah, see, the cool kids would get one of these and paint like Schneider's Plumbing on the side with some phone number, so it wouldn't attract the cops, you know.
Oh, well, that was an East Coast thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Out here, I think they just went for it for the design on the outside. But that's pretty smart. And whoever had this before must have kept it high and dry, because there was 0 rust on it, which is really unusual coming from Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, you realize this thing is almost 50 years old.
Yeah.
Are there any cars from your childhood you haven't acquired yet that, oh, I'd love to get that?
You know, I've got a 69 Vet Stingray it's a ragtop.
Yeah.
I'd love to get the normal one, the hardtop
With the coupe? Why?
coupe, yeah. Because for some reason that Coke bottle style to me with the huge fenders, and I guess it'd be a few years later.
Yeah.
When they got the really big fenders on the front. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, as a kid, that was just to me the ultimate looking sports car.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great.
Actually, I like this series too, the 63 to 67.
Yeah, yeah.
You like the Mako Shark look, they
Right.
used to call it. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. And that's whatever you grew up with.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was your dad a car guy?
No, my dad, he always said that everything you own is either a tool or an idol. Everything you own is either a tool or an idol.
An idol? What do you mean an idol?
An idol, like something you worship.
Oh, I see.
Or just like because it's that thing.
Right.
So, and if you think about it, everything you have is either a tool or an idol. The coffee cup is a tool. You don't like, oh my God, you don't look at, oh my gosh, look at my coffee cup, right? So to him, a car was a tool.
Just something to get you from A to B.
Point A to point B, that's it. He didn't care. He would drive a car until literally it was falling apart.
Right.
And I remember one time I came home from college. He had a little Datsun station wagon. He'd driven that thing for years. And I got in it and I went, Dad, there's no floor over here. He goes, yeah, rusted out. there's no floor. There's holes. You see the freeway over there. I go, really? So, and then driving down the freeway in another car. We're driving down the freeway and the windows are open and the headliner just ripped down and went in all our faces.
It's funny.
So no, he didn't know anything about cars, didn't care about cars, didn't know anything about tools.
Did he ever buy a new car, or was it a used car?
Oh, yeah, whenever we buy a new car, it was Mom's.
Oh.
It was like, yeah, and she would get the really nice car. So we had, finally in 1974, we got a Fleetwood Cadillac.
Oh.
Big old yellow thing, yep. He was doing well then. Some investments had come through.
Is that what your dad did? He was an investor guy?
No, he was a real estate appraiser.
Oh, okay.
He had the oldest real estate appraisal business in Dallas before he died, because he took it over from his father. But he
Right.
had come out here during his college years to try his hand in show business.
Oh, really?
He was a stunt man.
Oh, that's interesting. So there is some show business history.
Well, a little bit. He learned jiu-jitsu in World War II. He never went anywhere because he had flat feet.
Right.
So, but he did learn jiu-jitsu. And he came out here and tried tried to become rich and famous, and the biggest claim to fame was he was in a movie called The Pirate with Gene Kelly and I think it was Judy Garland.
Did you ever see it?
Oh yeah,
Do you see him in the movie?
absolutely.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he gets thrown around and throws around Gene Kelly in a fight scene.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, but the best part, he says, was he was teaching Gene Kelly a couple of moves, and Gene Kelly like screwed up, and my dad ended up kneeing him right in the money.
Right.
So that's my dad's claim to fame, is he,
I knew Gene Kelly. Did you ever meet Gene Kelly?
never did.
Oh, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And he didn't make it, so he went back to Dallas and took over my grandfather's business.
Yeah. How long was he out here?
I don't know, but my mother would get mad because he would tell stories about when he came out here, he had no money. He actually slept in caves on the beach somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, so it was nothing. I didn't sleep in caves, but when I came out here, I had $3,000 to my name.
Yeah.
Driving a Nissan Pathfinder full of dummies.
I slept in the street.
Did you?
I got arrested twice for vagrancy.
Is that right?
Well, you know what it is? I'd be in Hollywood Boulevard and the cops would go, saw you here last night, get in the back. And I would just sit in the back of the car for their whole shift. And they'd let me out in the morning because I'd tell them jokes and stuff,
Really?
Yeah, so that happened twice. So technically it wasn't an arrest. But when I got my star in Hollywood Boulevard, the cops that arrested me came.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's really great. And what year did you get? You got one star?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I don't know.
You don't know what year?
I'm not even sure where it is. I gotta go back and see. It's on Hollywood Boulevard somewhere.
Sometimes I get creepy pictures of people with mine. Like, it just kind of gives me the willies.
I was at yours.
Oh, of course you were. You were in Howie Mandel.
That wasn't that long ago. What was that?
It was great.
What was it, 10 years ago maybe?
I don't remember. No, I don't know that long ago. I don't remember. But that was great. No, because my boys were 2 years old, so it was 4 years ago.
Oh, it's only 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, it was, that was amazing. It was just great. I told you what I told you the letter I wrote to Steve Martin, right?
No, what was that?
Well, I wrote to Steve Martin, and I said, because, you're supposed to invite 2 celebrity friends to come to the thing, right? So I had you and Howie. But I wrote to Steve Martin, and I said, for my Walk of Fame star, you're supposed to invite 2 celebrities. And how could I not invite my childhood comedian idol?
Right.
But since Mr. Carson is dead, I was wondering if you might show up instead.
Right. Did he answer that?
Yeah, he wrote back a very nice email and said he couldn't be there. But I had already asked you, by the way.
Well, I showed up.
Yeah, you were great. You and Howie both. That was great.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, let's talk about the car again. It drives like a van. I mean, it's very nice. It's a classic.
But let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So you drive a Tesla, and it's a whole different feel, right? And what happens when somebody that's 25 years old gets in a car like this and drives it? It's got to be horrifying, don't you think?
Yeah, they're amazed at how hard they are to steer and how hard the brakes are to push. But chances are most of them never have that opportunity. See how many people under the age of 40 have seen a black and white movie.
Oh, yeah.
And they go, no, I know.
No, I got my daughters who are all in their 20s, and they can't stand watching black and white.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
It's like, oh, we can't see
I know, it's funny, it's funny.
Yeah. There you go. There's a trivia question no one under the age of 40 would get. Why does this do that?
Yeah. The new vans haven't changed that much. I guess the next big, of course, the electric version of this.
Yeah, with the ranges they're coming out now with, that'll be great. I mean, they're getting close to 400 miles, right? Some of them?
Yeah.
Even further?
Now, was this your first van, or did you buy one back in the day?
No, I never bought a van back in the day. And even when I was first married with my 3 daughters, we went to Hawaii and rented I don't know what it was, but a minivan. And I thought it was the greatest thing ever. So it was my first experience with a van. Both doors open.
Right.
The kids loved it. There was a refrigerator.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience with a van, but never got one. I think my first van was the Volkswagen, and that was the actual first van I drove as a kid, was a Volkswagen van, and I was probably 16 years old.
Yeah.
And I had to go, my neighbor wanted me to drive his van to go pick up his kid, and I was 16. And I kind of knew how to drive stick, but you know how it is,
Right,
on a
right.
hill,
Right, right.
in a van, at a stoplight. So these things, I didn't get one of these until much later, but I honestly think I did it as a rebellion against my mother.
That's funny. I liked it, the shag carpeting. It's like a psychiatric van. It's like it's padded on the inside, you know?
Yeah, and like I said, when we cleaned out the carpet from this one, it was the original stuff, and it was stains.
Was it exactly like this shag?
Oh, yeah.
Same
Oh, yeah.
pile? Yeah.
No, Shutton did a good job of sourcing this stuff. I don't know where they found it, but yeah, it's pretty darn close. I guess the original one had all stickers, right? The graphics package was all
Right.
stickers. And wouldn't they take something like this and then they wouldn't do it in the factory? They'd send it to some other place that was.
Yeah, like American Sunroof or one of these kind of companies that did outside work. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But it's so, if you believe horsepower cures a lot of problems, it does with this, because you've got the big V8, you think this thing's kind of clicking. Oh, it moves along pretty good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't handle bad for what it is.
Well, like I talked about earlier, you put somebody who's in their even 40s, and they get in a car like this, and it's almost horrifying the way it drives.
Yeah. I'm wondering if these seat belts are aftermarket, because
Why?
I remember maybe by 77 it was all integrated. But it used to be two pieces. You had the belt, and then you would hook the,
Oh, that's right.
the shoulder strap.
Yeah, because you pull the thing
These
down.
feel actually like they could actually do some good. And they look a little modern with this. Most of them in the 70s had that lift-up latch, not a button.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Until you look really close at these things, and they are frighteningly brittle.
Yeah.
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 I don't think it would stop much if we got hit.
Well, let's find out.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
I mean, it actually drives and runs very nicely. I mean, it's a pretty simple platform, really. V8 engine, transmission in a normal place, rear end in a normal place, with a big box on top of it. That's basically what it is.
And obviously, with it being the third generation, the Econoline line was obviously doing really well for them. So why not jump on the bandwagon and jump into the van thing?
Right.
I wonder if they had anything before this in the modern van world. I guess not. 76.
Well, the Econoline van had been around since the 60s.
Right. But this was the first time they ever, quote, customized it. And as the brochure says, it was the first factory customized van.
And how many did they build, do you think? Any idea?
Nah, I'm not a
I
clue.
wonder if it was a popular option.
Yeah, who would be the customer for this?
I'm thinking Lee Iacocca might have had something to do with this, because Lee Iacocca was also the father of the minivan.
Well, I do know this. I do know that Edsel Ford II came over to Ford in 1975. This was actually his first project, the
Yeah.
Ford cruising van.
Yeah.
So, 1976, first year. But to me, it's pretty interesting that, again, they got to this late in the game, and you do wonder how many of these they sold, but who would the customer be?
But were they late in the game, or were they the first to do it? They were the first to do it, weren't they?
They were the first to do it as the first factory customized
Right.
van, but they were kind of late in the game in the van craze.
Oh, yeah.
In the customized van craze, because this has been going on for a couple, 3 years, really
Yeah.
going on before they jumped into it. Keep on trucking. Remember that graphic?
Oh, yeah, that was it. That was huge. Was that Art Crum, I think, was the writer?
Is that right?
Yeah.
And then the guy that designed the smiley face didn't get a penny for it.
Yeah.
I know the guy who's the son of the guy that started the patch company that has the military contract for all military patches, but also did every iconic patch that you can remember from the 70s. Remember the peace sign?
Right, yeah.
All those patches, the
yeah.
smiley faces, love, all that stuff. So he's not hurting. Put it that way.
Well, it was great fun reliving some of Jeff's childhood because I was already an adult by the time this vehicle came out.
Well,
but as a 14 or 15-year-old, I could see what the interest would be. It's like having your own apartment on wheels, really.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you driving it and giving some your opinions on it. And
Oh, no, I think I'm amazed at how nicely it drives. I mean, it's got all kinds of power. It handles reasonably well. It actually handles okay.
Yeah.
If you told me this was a 50-year-old vehicle and I was blindfolded, I would not know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing about it that gives away its age.
And what does that say for 70s car manufacturing in the U.S.? It wasn't horrible all the time.
No, I mean, the real advances are in braking, fuel economy, and safety.
Right.
Cars have always been powerful. Even in 1910, there were cars that went 100 miles an hour, which is unbelievable.
Oh.
You know, they just didn't stop or go around corners. You know?
Sure.
But anyway, Jeff, thanks for bringing this by. You know, it's a great piece of Americana. We try to feature all sorts of different things on this website. Sometimes electric stuff, sometimes Hummers, sometimes European sports cars. And this is one area, vanning, where we haven't done. So.
Yeah, and that's why I got this thing. It just reminds me of the past. It is a piece in American history.
Yeah, well, that's great.
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Jay.
Great job.
All right.
Mm-hmm.